So the Yankees wrestled defeat from the jaws of victory. That really sucked. Yeah, Gary. This is a game that I thought there were a lot of good. There was a lot of good. I mean, this is a team that has struggled against Corbin Burns. Lord knows Aaron Judge does. But when you get production out of guys like a Ben Rice and get Jason Dominguez to his first home run in I don't remember how long, that's, those are some positive things. But the thing that was really frustrating about losing this game was Will Warren deserved to win this ball game. He gave us length. It's wicked frustrating. Luke Weaver's available. You don't use him. You put in Mark Leiter Jr., who, I mean, I know he had a really good World Series and he bounced back in a big spot, kind of surprised us, but I'm still not like sitting here confident anytime he comes into a game. So tonight was frustrating.
Okay, I'm all for them being high on Mark Leiter Jr., Tim Hill, Cruz, obviously what he's doing with the splitter. You saw how he threw multiple innings today. It was great. But when it's money time, okay, and money time can change. It could be the 8th inning. It could be the 9th inning. It could even be the end of the 7th inning. My feeling is that where was Luke Weaver in this game? Okay. And I completely understand where people are coming from when they bring up the point of that you don't necessarily want to, just because Devin Williams is now out, now force a 6-out save, to which I would agree. But the question is, and it's our thumbnail, it's our title, is did Aaron Boone blow this game? In my opinion, yes, he absolutely did. And of course, when I brought this to Twitter, my feeling was that why am I not seeing Luke Weaver face the heart of the Diamondbacks lineup? You mean to tell me that the National League Player of the Week in Suarez is walking up to the dish and you don't have your best pitcher on the mound? It actually reminds me a lot of that Baltimore series in the postseason where Britton didn't come out of the bullpen. It makes no sense to me. Sometimes you need to just have some feel and say, this is the moment we need to get through to win this game. And it's not always the 9th inning. I thought it was a huge misfire from Aaron Boone. Thought in general, over the course of this short season, he's made some really bright decisions, very smart decisions. He's been calculated, but this was not one of those positive decisions. This was a mistake, and it cost the Yankees the game tonight.
Yeah, it's just a real bummer going up against a team like this, the way those hitters have been hitting, and to have them bottled up for the majority of the game, aside from that 2-run home run. Yeah, it's just really, again, it's really frustrating because I thought this was Will Warren's best game as a Yankee pitcher. Only gave up 1 hit. We know the walks are going to come with, Will Warren. I'm okay with that, as long as you're able to keep the runs low. And it's like I told you. I mean, going up against Burns, who struck out 8 tonight, who normally gives the Yankees fits, if you can keep this within 3 runs, when he comes out, you have a chance to win this game. So basically what I was saying in that sense is that if Burns gets off to a 3-0 lead, comes out of the game, the Yankees are still in this thing. But the Yankees actually controlled this game. And that's what's really frustrating. You could make the argument, of course, that error that led to 2 runs, that wasn't necessarily forced, right? But at the same time, it was, because obviously dude hustled down the base paths. I think really what it comes down to is this. When you lose a game that you were leading and that you had control of, that's when it really starts to hit you. But when you lose a game where you've had some benefits to having a lot of rest in that bullpen, and we know how dominant this bullpen has been, to have them give up 5 of the 7 runs after you just pitched a guy with very limited starting experience in the major leagues and he had a good day, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, there were 2 decisions. One of them I was a little sketchy on. The other one I just absolutely disagreed with at the end of the game. You guys saw how it went. But one of those decisions was whether or not to leave Will Warren in that game, right? To get that final out, to get him through 5 innings. And Michael K brought up a great point, is that Boone doesn't really give too much of a rip about getting a pitcher a win. Now, if he can just do it and not put the game in jeopardy, he will. But the win for starters doesn't mean everything anymore. So that out, I was like, I'm not sure there. But I can understand because the whole conversation all day was about Will Warren and his confidence. And the fact that Aaron Boone made that decision and he left him in that game and he got through it is great for his confidence. But then you're in a situation where you see Mark Leiter Jr. on the mound and you're saying, okay, it seems like they're trying to build confidence with this guy. And maybe they're thinking that we can build something long-term here with this pitcher. Well, that to me was a miscalculation. I think in general, you were sort of playing with the game and playing with your food. And now you have to see essentially everything that came with it. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's Mark Leiter Jr. being the reason that you're going home a loser today. And I can't live with that. I really can't. I can live with losing. You play a 162 game season, you're going to lose a lot of games. But to lose with one of your pitchers that a lot of us don't have a ton of confidence in, that stings. It's the same thing we saw in the World Series. A lot of people have said, well, this is just game 4 of the regular season. Who cares? But this is the same type of decision, forcing a narrative in a situation that doesn't have to happen of what we saw in the World Series. You don't bring in a lefty starter who hasn't pitched in a long time and try to get out Freddie Freeman, a future Hall of Famer. It made no sense then. And now we fast forward to game 4 of the regular season. And now I'm supposed to not care about these type of decisions because it's just the regular season. So Jake, I'm not mad because it's the regular season, but I'm disappointed that we've come this far. I loved what we did all day. And then we just kind of mucked up the water there at the end.
I'm annoyed, not mad, not even disappointed, annoyed that they went down without the captain of the ship. They didn't go down with their best guy. If Luke Weaver gives it up, you're like, I threw my best at them. They gave, he gives up a grand slam. He gets the bases loaded. There's nothing I could do. My best player on that night did not have his best stuff. But I think that's where you get into the whole Mark Leiter Jr. I mean, no offense, but he's not young. It's a little frustrating. It really is. And, I do think there was some micromanaging on that. I think there was some micromanaging on Pablo Reyes coming in to pinch hit for Oswaldo Cabrera. We did finally see, the backlash of the bad that happens. Totally agree with the decision. I'm not backing down from it, but we do see now Jason Dominguez is hitting well. These are the discussions that are going to, be had. And, this is where you're like hoping he takes the next step defensively. Obviously you want him to hit, but because now you don't have his bat next time the lineup comes around, now it's, Trent Grisham.
I didn't like that
in a big spot. And this is where I understand it. And I'm not going to sit here and go back on my word in that I believe in the defensive aspect, but I think that early, I am against that. To me, the way I see it is if it's the bottom of the ninth or it's the top of the ninth, whatever, you're in a really good position to win. Okay. But he got replaced to the point where you have, Grisham hitting, and it's like that kind of sucks, right? Because I like Grisham and what he is, but he's hitting in the bottom of the ninth now. What I'm saying is if you go into, say, extra innings, okay. But I feel like in this game, it was a close game, but I still felt like there was a chance. It's 4-2, and obviously the Yankees kind of took over and they felt really good, in that moment. And then Arizona hits the grand slam. It was 3-4. Arizona was down, and I just feel like, that might have been just doing a little too much early on in the year. So especially there are games where Dominguez hasn't looked the best. And obviously by games, we're talking about 3.
Are you talking about defensively?
Well, no, even at the plate. Okay. There are games he hasn't looked the best. So okay. But in this game, he's probably your best hitter of the day. It just, to your point, I didn't like it, but I can't go back on what I was saying and that I do agree. His defense is such a liability right now, this point in his career. but I would have liked to see them maybe wait a little bit. Like,
yeah,
doing it where he's going to come up if there's a bottom of the ninth, that's a little risky to me.
Yeah,
just my
if
thought.
Devin Williams gives up a 3-run jack, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, we're going into the top half of the 10th, ghost runner at second base. Now we have no Dominguez coming up. Yeah, I'm not going to get on Aaron Boone. That's right. You have to have confidence in your guys in your bullpen to shut down the game. But at the same time, you didn't foresee that there could be issues with Mark Leiter Jr. and Tim Hill coming consecutively into this game. Of course, there could be problems. And obviously, you're at the very least giving up an at-bat. For what? Doesn't need to happen. And as far as I'm concerned, the difference between a Jason Dominguez at-bat tonight and Trent Grisham was not close. As you said, he was our best player tonight. How can you possibly justify it? And obviously, the way they look at it, at least right now in the short term, is that these Jason Dominguez, this defensive innings late game, are sort of the way that they looked at Giancarlo Stanton, right? If Giancarlo was playing left field, they suddenly would say, okay, well, we're going to put in whoever we want on defense towards the end of the game. And if we lose them in extra innings, fine. It seemed like they had that honed in pretty well. But it almost was it was almost the confidence they had in Giancarlo and what he did with his bat made the proper decision of when to do that decision. Okay, if that makes sense. They made this decision way too early. And obviously, I can't say it made us pay. What made us pay is our decision of who we brought out to pitch, which has been it's been a gripe for a lot of people of bullpen management. And bullpen management is difficult. It's hard. But I feel confident that if I sat down every manager in Major League Baseball tonight and they sat all in one room and I asked them, if Corbin Carroll and Suarez and the heart of a lineup was coming up for Arizona, a lineup that scored the most runs in all of baseball last year, if they were coming up, who would you want to come out in the 8th inning? They'd probably say my best arm. I feel confident that you'd bring out your best guy, and then you leave Weaver out of the game going into the 9th inning, and you bring somebody else in to close against the bottom of the lineup for Arizona. That to me was the clear decision. Can't say it cost us the game because you just never know how baseball goes, but it didn't feel like we gave ourselves the best opportunity. And obviously we're sitting here losers tonight.
Yeah, I actually, I got a chance to have this marinate while I was listening to you. I think the Mark Leiter Jr. move is not even as bad as the Pablo Reyes move. Because hear me out when I say this. Pablo Reyes couldn't have won the game.
No.
Right? Cabrera couldn't have won the game. That didn't decide the game. There was still a 2-run, but there's no logical reason to take Cabrera out and pinch hit him for a guy who's not as good of a hitter.
Why was he in the game?
Like, that's what I mean. I feel like Boone just was like, yeah, like, let's do this. Like, if you put in, I can't even think of anything. I can't think of one reason. I'm not, let me make this clear. Yankee fans aren't even sure if they like this guy yet. They definitely do not.
They're pretty sure. Can I read you a tweet, by the way, someone sent me? I was laughing.
I was being nice. I did. I just looked up Pablo Reyes on Twitter. It's, oh my God, it's bad.
No, people are pissed. Someone said at least Leiter was able to do this with a chin beard. Yeah.
Have you
chin beards never work. You've always got to, I know I'm not doing the best example of this right now, but it's got to be 2 fingers above the Adam's apple. Anything other than that, it's not working. So,
oh man.
Yeah.
The Pablo Reyes, just searching Pablo Reyes on Twitter. Poor guy.
Look at our chat. Nobody I'm not saying
he's going to get run out of New York.
It's baseball. Yeah, but it's baseball. It's Delos, right? It's Delos meatballs all over again.
Yeah,
our feeling is that look at our chat.
He gave up 8 runs in relief. Who does that?
I don't know.
I don't even think he got it out. No, I mean, it's very simple. Okay. Pablo Reyes doesn't have any backing from the Yankees fan base, nor should he. Just because he did well in spring training, all that does is create intrigue. But you actually have to show up. And I understand it's early in the year, and it's not really his fault. He shouldn't be pinch hitting over Oswaldo Cabrera. It's that simple. That right there, that move, not Dominguez for Grisham, not keeping Leiter Jr. in there since he pitched decently in the World Series. That move right there signals Boone was trying to simply do too much. And you could say,
did he come up against the lefty? Is that what the situation was? Because I'm fairly certain that's what it was.
Well, be that as it may, why isn't Peraza out there who crushed a lefty and hit a home run when he pinch hit?
Oh, I don't know. I'm for sure just trying to find the process of how we got here, because obviously when you bring in a player, maybe you can say, yeah, this is the wrong decision, but at the very least you can see the angle. I can't detect the angle here.
So AJ Puck is a lefty.
Yes.
But Peraza, that Lopez has, or not Lopez, Pablo Lopez. Reyes has a 0 batting average. Peraza's had 2 at-bats, and one of them he hit a laser over the wall. I would have gone with Peraza, or I just would have said, you know what, Cabrera? I'm just going to roll with you. I'm going to go down with my best 9 hitter. By the way, Cabrera's having a good year so far. And the biggest thing about Cabrera is when he plays, he succeeds. When he doesn't play and you start putting him on the bench and you kill his confidence and you make him rusty, that's when he struggles. Are you really trying to go down that rabbit hole again for checks notes Pablo Reyes? Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, so Kid Reyes with the super chat, we really appreciate it. Says Reyes so bad, I'm going to change my name. Yeah, we think that'd be a good idea. And here's the thing. We're obviously joking
I feel
here,
bad.
But
I genuinely feel bad.
This has nothing to do with anything personal with any one player on this team. This isn't anything personal. It's for Leiter Jr., obviously Pablo Reyes.
Thank you, Pablo.
It's not.
Thank you, Kid Reyes. Not
Pablo Reyes. But it's never anything personal. But our feeling is that the manager's job is to pull the strings and put people on the field who should be on the field, who can succeed in that moment. That's the whole point. That's why he's sitting there. So if you're going to put somebody on the field and they don't hit lefties quite as well as the guy that you're replacing, why is he in the game facing a lefty? I feel like it's just common sense, common knowledge that at the very least, you need to have some type of angle. And the angle in that moment, I'd guess, is that they don't like Cabrera from the right side. We'll bring somebody else in who you had other options, right? And we brought up Peraza, didn't even look his way. We can't possibly understand that. We cannot fathom it because the number suggests Reyes hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything against righties or lefties. So why is he out there? We're not exactly sure. It's not his fault. This is the fault of the manager, but we don't want to overreact. This is a mistake in one game, and this can't be something that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. It cannot happen. It needs to improve. So obviously, I would love to see what Aaron Boone has to say as to his explanation, because I'm trying to learn his mentality going into these games so I can try and figure out what's happening before it happens. But so far, I'm unsuccessful in doing that.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what the hell was going on. You know, again, I would chalk it up to him just overthinking, just him doing too much, just him micromanaging. That Pablo Reyes move is just bizarre. And sorry, I understand 7-5. Like I said, he couldn't have come in, whatever. You could make the argument if Dominguez is hitting over Grisham, maybe he gets on base. Rice drills one in the second deck, and now it's 7-6. So it certainly makes that Cabrera move a lot different. But yeah, to go down with Pablo Reyes, that irked me. And it's not like he just, swung like your favorite thing. It's not like he had like a George Washington swing.
Oh yeah,
or anything.
Can we talk about Dominguez and Rice? Because I know obviously at some point you want to talk about.
Of course, I want to talk about my guy Rice, who's donning the 22 that Juan Soto previously wore.
Yeah, let's start off, because I was going to start off with Dominguez because obviously he's the Martian and he's a top prospect. He's not a prospect, but you get the point.
They're still doing it.
I do want to talk about Ben Rice first, because that was we're seeing velocity off his bat that we just never saw. This was not, and maybe people want to chalk it up to the torpedo barrel, whatever you want to say. You're seeing better swings And of course, when a guy's hitting 500 and his ops is almost 1,800, everyone's going to look good. But he's also he's being taken on assignments lefty on lefty. Aaron Boone's putting him on the field against left-handed pitching, and he's dominating. So this is a huge step in the right direction. It's not everything. He's not going to win the most valuable player this week. But I'll tell you this. When a manager in 2024 immediately looks to the bench and says, who am I going to send up there for Ben Rice because there's a lefty on the mound? And then you fast forward to 2025 and they're not even looking anyone's way. He's just walking up to the dish and hitting laser in the upper deck against left-handed pitching. Something's changed. Everyone's detected it in that locker room. It's very clear. And Jake, I know you're very excited about this because I wasn't very hopeful about Ben Rice. I could be perfectly honest about that, but I'm very pleased in what he's done so far. What are you seeing?
Gary, I'm seeing exactly what I was texting you, man. And you know what? This is going to be a more positive show because it's early in the season. This didn't just cost him a playoff spot. And there were a lot of good things to take away from this game. So at no point are we going to let a few bad moments in the game ruin a lot of the good that they did. And that's why I'm glad you brought this up. Ben Rice had 111 mile per hour exit velo on that home run, right? Or excuse me, no.
The double, no. Right?
He had that on the double. My bad. He had 105.4 on the ground out, and he had 107.8 on the home run. That's not normal.
No.
That's not normal. That was not Ben Rice was hitting the ball decently hard last year, but probably around 90 miles an hour average. No. Gary, you probably got sick of how much I texted you. This is the alarms are going off. This is a sign. Look at the exit velo, 115, 113. I know it's just spring training, but that is a sign. When you do it once, interesting. When you do it like 6 times in a row, okay, move over. Dude, the idea, and this is really the rationale, the logic behind why I've been so against trying to trade for another bat here that can only displace somebody this talented. Ben Rice is your 8th hitter. Look at the way he is hitting. And then you have Cabrera, and then you have Dominguez. They might have the best 3 hitters at the bottom of an order in the league. And of course, time will tell. But if they hit at the capability that they have, I mean, this Yankee lineup is going to be absolutely a nightmare every single night. And so this is a game where Aaron Judge goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Jazz Chisholm goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Cody Bellinger goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Yep. And Paul Goldschmidt goes 0 for 4 with a strikeout. And yet you outplayed the other team because the bottom of your lineup was that good. They picked them up. That's what bothers me the most. They were able to basically survive the top 4 guys going a combined 0 for 15. They actually controlled the game despite having the top 4 in the lineup go 0 for 15, 1 for 19, if you want to say. And they got production out of Rice. They got production out of Dominguez. It's frustrating to me that happened. Volpe now has another home run to add to his resume. So, like I said, there was some good today. There was a lot of good today. And I think the reason why I say a lot of good is that you're looking at these younger guys. You're looking at these inexperienced guys. You got Will Warren. He's going toe-to-toe with Corbin Burns, Gary. Put that on your freaking bingo card. 10 swing and misses. Right? 10. He generated 10 missed bats.
Is Volpe Adam Dunn now? I have no idea. I feel like
we're not calling him Volpe. We're calling him Torpedo Volpe.
Yeah, because I feel like he should be hitting 450 by all the action that comes off his bat. But then you look up and he's hitting $188, which obviously won't be something long term. But I mean, it does feel like ultimately he's been wildly successful. But to bring it back to Ben Rice, it really brings me to question, because we did talk about it briefly in the last episode, that it's a great problem to have when you do have a player like Ben Rice, right? And you have a Giancarlo Stanton who becomes healthy, who's now taking steps closer to the field. He's recovering from tennis elbow in both elbows. Now, when he's healthy, we call it a good problem, but if Ben Rice is raking and it's a young, controllable player, what then?
Yeah.
Right. And it's a real question, because obviously we're expecting high output from Paul Goldschmidt, who's shown, at least so far this season, he's going to actually perform. So now what? Where do you put him? Right. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to imagine, okay, this player, he's played outfield before, he's played first base, but I don't know. It's a tough decision, because obviously Giancarlo has a long history of success, and that includes the postseason. You're not going to sit him down. It's just not going to happen. And regardless of what we say, the Yankees are not sitting a player who just played well in our last postseason run. We're just talking about a couple months ago. And then he's going to go down with an injury. And then a young player is going to dominate in Ben Rice, and suddenly he's going to take your designated hitter role. It wouldn't make sense to me. So this is a conundrum. If this continues, this is crazy. You rarely see this in baseball. And obviously, when you're talking about a win now organization, they're trying to win the World Series. Rarely ever do you say, if you hit, where am I going to play it? You usually solve that. But I would imagine the answer is someone somewhere is going to be struggling when that decision's made, if Ben Rice is playing well. And I think that's the solution.
I think it's really, I think it's similar to what the Dodgers had last year, because they had some guys that like didn't even make the lineup. Remember, they kept like,
yes,
what was it, Rojas and another dude, and they just kept cycling them in and out. And it's like, right. I think it's going to have to be that. I think, you know what it's really going to be? I'm going to use my football knowledge here. You know how a starter doesn't actually play every single snap on the defense? A lot of people don't know this. Defensive line. You know, you're an Eagles fan. They rotate like crazy.
Yeah.
I think that actually, wow, I just thought of something. This is beneficial especially for Stanton. It's load management, but it's an excuse. It's not just like, we're not going to play him. We're waiting for October, because you got to rev him up. But they could have a real dominant 1-2 punch at DH with Ben Rice, and let's be honest,
what you want though with a young player? Because if you
but you don't really have a choice.
You don't really have a choice, but at the same time, it's like maybe they can say, okay, well, Paul Goldschmidt may sit down.
Well, Paul Goldschmidt may not make it all the way through the season. He's 37.
Yeah, that's valid. But you may say, okay, Paul Goldschmidt destroys lefties, right? Mm-hmm. Ben Rice, you would assume as a left-handed power bat at Yankee Stadium, he would prefer to face right-handed pitching. Maybe that's their solution, right? Because at this point, as I said, Giancarlo's not going to sit down. It's just not going to happen. But Paul Goldschmidt, it is possible. Now, of course, Ben Rice, it's not just going to be 3 or 4 days of positive performance. Now we're like, oh, he's the superstar. Where are we going to put him? But you do see what's on the screen, guys. You see what we're watching. Right. And of course, this doesn't mean that it's a shoo-in that he's going to be at the All-Star game. But I will tell you guys, this is potential. And there's potentially a problem, a good problem to have. So I think it's interesting. I think it's thought-provoking. And of course, it puts Aaron Boone in a situation where he's got to make some tough calls that a lot of people aren't going to like. So I love that. I love that in a baseball season, when you actually have enough good players on your roster that are playing well. And hopefully this continues, where we can actually talk about this and make a stressful situation, maybe give it an answer.
So I was curious, as you know. So I looked up Paul Goldschmidt's career numbers, and I think you'll find this really interesting. Mm-hmm. He has played at least 150 games dating back to 2021.
Okay.
The 1 year he didn't play that in those was 2020. He played 58 during that kind of
shortened season,
half-ass season. You're very nice, and I'm not. Come on, that was a half-ass season. But anyway, 161 in 2019. Then when he was with the Diamondbacks, he has played 150 games at least since 2015. The only time he hasn't played 150 games is back in 2014 and 2012 and 2011, his rookie year. So this guy's been fairly consistent. He stays healthy for the most part. I mean, obviously some of those, he probably missed some games. But the thing is, he is getting up there in age. And I'll tell you right now, I do not want him to go down with an injury.
No.
But I'm just saying, Rizzo, I mean, we've seen it. So it's so tough, right? Sports is really interesting. I feel like there are a lot of teams going through this right now with the NFL draft. I feel like a lot of teams go through this in the MLB. You want to have that, kind of balance between, I have a lot of this position and I have too much of it. But like, you want to have that balance where you're not quick to just trade it away. As soon as you're like, oh, this guy's young, he plays the position, trade him away. There's not such a thing as having too many talented players, because you could always find a way to use them. But is the best way to do that, to maximize Ben Rice, is the best way to have him playing every 4 games? I don't know. So it's like we literally just talked about this on our last episode. This creates a good problem to have, but to act like it's not a problem and it's not something that they're going to have an internal discussion about would be ignorant.
Yeah. And so we've got a super chat here, which segues us perfectly to this Jason Dominguez bit. Cause obviously we said we wanted to bring a positive conversation about him, and Slim Lewis. It's something we brought up at the very, very beginning of the show. He said we need to chill pulling the Martian too early, and to which we completely agree. We won't remix that at all. Yeah. And by the way, Jason Dominguez looked atrocious in left field today. He looked bad. Okay. He caught every ball out to him, but there's a look that when someone catches a fly ball, you want it to look a certain way. It's not looking that way right now. Now, this absolutely can improve. We've seen time and time again, players improving defensively, improving offensively. I mean, it happens. So my expectation is this does improve, but yeah, obviously they were going based on how it was looking. They made the decision very early in this game, and we agree too early in this game, to make a defensive replacement, and it put you in a situation where Trent Grisham is taking at bats where you're now in catch-up mode. Well, that's not going to help. That's not going to help at all. So I don't know. In hindsight, surely if Aaron Boone knew they were going to be down late in the game, you wouldn't make that decision, but he made the guess, and that was with his information in his team in the dugout, that we don't think his at-bat's going to matter later in this game, so we're willing to bring the glove into this game. That's what they decided. It ended up being a mistake.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, the Yankees got the Diamondbacks, obviously, again. It's 2 games of a 3-game set. Carlos Rodon is back on the mound, thank God. He's been the best-looking pitcher so far. Of course, it's very, very young. The season's young, but I think they need that. To be fair, I thought Will Warren looked really good today at points. Aside from the mistake pitch, the only hit he gave up was a home run. I thought he looked really good. And then Zach Gallen, who was coming off kind of a rough start where, he gave up, he has a 9 ERA.
He was shelled. Yeah.
Yeah. So only 4 innings he got through. I think that the Yankees are going to bounce back tomorrow. And honestly, they should have won tonight. And that sucks that they didn't. We'll see if they have, I don't know how long the paternity list lasts for Devin Williams, but I also don't want it to go by the wayside, Gary, that Adam Ottavino, and this actually kind of makes me even more annoyed. Adam Ottavino, who was literally just a free agent, got off his couch, pitched better than Mark Leiter Jr.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in hindsight, yes, but I mean, I always try and focus on like what cost you the game and what didn't. And it's like, honestly, Ottavino is just on the roster. He's They're accustomed to having him around the clubhouse. They know what he's going to provide. He's going to fool some guys, back door, front door. Then any moment you even think to have any expectations, he's going to give up a 3-run jack, and you're going to go right back down to the basement. So that's his experience. It's his experience as a Yankee. It was his experience as a Met. It is identical everywhere he goes. He's still a solid big leaguer. It's why he's here.
Are you glad he's back?
No, I couldn't give a rip.
I thought it was funny. I texted you. I was like, oh, they got Adam Ottavino back. You're like, oh, really? Yeah. It's like, who is he wearing 0? And no, Stroman's wearing 0. So it looks a little weird there.
We guessed 93 and he's wearing 58. I had to click his little profile and
because that's even close. Like,
yeah, his
58
locker
does not look good.
Probably, well, no, his locker is going to be in the corner of the clubhouse. And then as soon as Devin Williams is back, they're just going to pack his bags. Yeah.
Send him to Mars. I don't know. Whatever they do when they cut a guy.
He'll go home. Yeah, he'll go home.
Oh, they go home. They don't just get like shipped to the moon. Twitter told me they sent him to the moon or the sun.
No, but before we advance to anything else, I did want to have a designated conversation about Jason Dominguez and his at-bats today, because I thought in general, spectacular. Someone brought up in the chat as well what Austin Wells did in terms of their at-bats. I thought Austin Wells at-bats today, as well as Jason Dominguez, were eerily similar. Obviously, you got different results, but I try to analyze what they're trying to do, and it was very clear Corbin Burnes was dominating both sides of the plate early in this game. Through the first 3 innings, it was very difficult to pick up. Obviously, the home plate umpire was giving strikes low, inside, outside, right, up, right, everything. Down to Aaron Judge, 6'7".
I noticed Warren didn't get that same call.
No, of course not. But eventually you have to take something away. And if you watch Jason Dominguez today, he was trying to take away the outer half of the plate. Anything that started away, he was just going to let it go. Obviously, Corbin Burnes in this game was working off a backdoor cutter to lefties, and then he would throw that slower changeup at around 87, 88 that would work off the plate. He never threw it for a strike all day. Anything out there, Dominguez, a young player, was letting that pitch go. The second he saw any wrinkle towards the inner half of the plate, he was going. And you saw the damage that went right behind that. I absolutely loved what I saw there. I thought it was a great adjustment to make as a big leaguer. And when people talk about someone being a top prospect, those are the type of decisions that you're going to have to make as a hitter. And it's not always going to make excuses for young players not making adjustments. You've got to be smart too. And I thought this was something that we should be excited about.
No, I agree with that. And I just think that those little things, I mean, this is what gets you through a season. You know, we're not going to make a podcast and just be like, yeah, so read the box score. Yeah, this happened. Okay, we're good. Like, that's not how it's going to be. You know, we're going to give our thoughts. We have to give our thoughts on this man, Fernando Cruz. Good Lord, they cannot hit him.
Can you believe those swings?
Bro, he makes people look ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's already got 5 strikeouts.
Did Pitching Ninja put him up there? He had to have. Because I didn't see him on my profile. There's no possible way Pitching Ninja didn't post about him tonight. There's no way.
I thought so, but I thought he already put him up there, you know, because like when the Yankees acquired him,
yes,
I thought I saw a bunch of pitching. Like, he's just like a pitching ninja. Like, oh yeah, unhittable splitters. Yep, it's up there.
Yeah, it's not surprising. He made 4 people look like buffoons tonight.
Disgusting, man. Like, it's kind of a bummer he's up there in age because his splitter is insane. It's unreal. He also
all that matters. I guess all that matters though is the Yankees and Matt Blake. They sort of just look at certain pitchers and their profiles, and they can say, based on spin, based on location, based on pitch usage, I can use this guy. And every single year, without a hiccup, Matt Blake and Brian Cashman, so we're going to take a step back and give them their flowers when they're due. They find these type of guys all day long. They just do. Whether they're 35, 23, doesn't matter. We do figure out how to get guys out. Regardless of what you guys think of our talent, the Yankees find ways to get outs. And obviously, today that luck ran out with Mark Leiter Jr.
It's, man, I remember when the trade was made and people were complaining he was 35, which I'm bummed he's 35, but I'm not complaining. And people were complaining that the Yankees got a catcher that is not very good in Alex Jackson. And I'm like, bruh, they turned Jose Trevino into this guy. How are we complaining?
I don't know. Because you have to imagine at some point we needed a reliever, right? There needed to be somebody. You can't rely on
This dude had
Johnny
a 99
Lowe.
percentile whiff rate in K rate.
Yep.
And it's already, Gary, already this early in the season, apparent.
We needed somebody, and we got somebody. Now, is this going to last? I don't know. I have no idea.
Based on his numbers.
But we saw last year, there were guys that we made deals for that were 34, 35 years old again, and they look like some of the best pitchers in baseball, and then they're just being DFA'd or traded half a year later. So the Yankees just do this. But as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to this offense, we need young players to step up, right? Austin Wells, still a young player. Jason Dominguez, Ben Rice. I know you're high on Ben Rice, but you're talking about some key positions here. What we do with left field, we lose Juan Soto, a corner outfielder. What are you guys going to do to replace that? Well, young players have to step up. Kyle Tucker's not a free agent until next offseason. So you guys need some type of production. Killing it. He looks like Barry Bonds. But he's, well, just
Are you really shocked? Are you really shocked?
No. He's hit a home run in 4 consecutive games. He's raking. But yeah, the Yankees need young players. The days of everyone saying the Yankees can't develop and they don't play their young guys, they don't trust their young guys. Well, today, the young players played pretty well. They came out, hit some homers. Will Warren, a guy now going into the second year where they're actually letting him bite the apple. Well, he was really good today. Okay, he's not going to be Sandy Koufax. He's not Nolan Ryan. But when a young player can go out and go toe-to-toe with Corbin Burns and keep you in the game at all, you're getting your money's worth and you are developing. So we need to give him credit where it's due. I know it's hard in a 7-5 loss when you lose in that fashion where you get punched in the jaw, but they're going to have to learn from some of these mistakes so we can actually, damn it, give us an opportunity to actually enjoy some of these young players playing well with a win, right? On top of our lineup was atrocious, by the way. Atrocious tonight. They were bad. I didn't like any of the at-bats. I didn't like Bellinger's at-bats. I didn't like Goldschmidt's at-bats. Judge was atrocious tonight. Obviously, Jazz Chisholm being dessert 0 for 4 with 4 Ks. 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. I don't give a rip what the strike zone looks like. Horrible. It was just it's a bad night. It's baseball. These happen. We've seen Judge give us 4 punchies before. We're not strangers to this, but we need more than that from the top of the lineup if you want to beat one of the game's best pitchers. So in a way, we deserve this loss.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to say that, but I get what you're saying. It's just it sucks to blow it like that. Especially again, it's not the captain of the ship. It's just one of the guys in the what do they call it? What's the bottom?
Oh, I'm not going to be any help for you at all. Please.
One of the ship
chance.
crew. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know. I guess I didn't play enough Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I have absolutely.
The brig?
As soon as you were asking.
The brig? Yeah, the brig of the ship.
Never heard of that before.
Throw them in the brig. You've never heard that?
No, you could put me on, what is it? Like all those trivia questions, like those trivia shows, I'd be the worst. Terrible.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Throw them in the brig.
Yeah. Is it my movie night tonight, by the way?
No, it's mine because you said grown-ups.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, you're right. I can go ahead and delete that then. I had a good movie, but it's whatever. But either way, I think in general, the takeaway here, Aaron Boone crapped himself tonight. It is what it is. The young players and a lot of the players that we really care about, which happen to be the young players, they played pretty well. They showed some real signs. And I can tell you the top of our lineup's not going to play like that very often. So if they can give us anything and our young players can take steps forward the way we saw tonight and make some really smart decisions on the field, I don't know. Maybe you don't take Cabrera off the field for a player who can't hit. I don't know. we're maybe looking at different results long term. So I'm excited about what I saw because in general, I was of the nature that Jason Dominguez has got to show me something here in a hurry. I wasn't trying to wait 2 years for him to really blossom. I need some performance. Now, if we're going to throw you in left field every day, you need to play well. And I thought tonight's performance was a giant step in that direction. So I'll give him his flowers.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So the movie is a good one, an old one, kind of old. When did it come out? I don't remember. 2002. God, sorry, I just dated everybody. Jodie Foster starred in it. It's called Panic Room. That's where a lot of Yankee fans seem to be after losing the first game of the year. I don't know why. This season is so young, and to be honest with you, I've seen more good than anything. So I'm totally fine with the loss. I mean, that's why I feel like, when we were doing this podcast, I was like, yeah, it sucks. You want to win every game. 162-0 will never happen. Like if you thought, a 16 seed being a 1 seed was impossible, that was proven to be wrong. This is absolutely impossible. You're not there. There will never be. I don't care if you get Ohtani, Judge. Gary, what team would you have to build to win 162 games in a season? Every game. I don't think you can build one.
No, it's not possible. You could literally actually, not only is it not possible, you could have Sandy Koufax pitch every single game. You could have literally an entire rotation of Sandy Koufax and build the lineup with your favorite players in the game today, and they still wouldn't go 162-0. That's how hard this game is. It's ridiculous. But as you guys saw today, to prove the point correct and Jake's point correct, Corbin Burns, a much better pitcher than Will Warren ever will be. I don't care what we develop him into. He won't be Corbin Burns. Okay. I'll just say that now. We should have won a game with that matchup. That tells you everything you need to know about how hard this game is. It's difficult. It is very difficult. And again, I'm going to use my final remarks as an opportunity to really clap for Will Warren and what he did today, because you could have looked at today's matchup and been like, the hell are these two guys doing? Like, what are we doing with this matchup? Because to be honest with you, the disparity in talent between those two guys is wide. You obviously saw some of the swings. Well, you saw the swings all night from the top of our lineup. They were looking like that for a reason. Some of it was the home plate umpire, but a very small portion of it. Most of it was because of the location and movement of Corbin Burns, which is why he's paid the big bucks. So, yeah, brilliant job from Will Warren. Made one mistake, gave up one hit on a Dookie changeup out the hand. It pretty much started in the outfield bleachers. It was a bad pitch. But when you throw as many pitches as you did tonight and you made one poor pitch, I like your development.
Yeah. Again, it's one thing to be like, yeah, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's another to actually do it. And I think the way to wrap it up is that the two guys that I was most interested in this offseason that I kept texting you about, Ben Rice and Will Warren. It's that simple. Those are the two where I'm like, okay, we're hearing that they've worked on this with Will Warren's pitching, and Ben Rice added 10 pounds. I don't want to sound like a broken record. We've probably said that a million times already.
I also added 10 pounds.
Oh, muscle?
No one's clapping for me. Well, we won't go that deep into it, but yeah, no one's
at least
clapping
like
for me
5
when
of
I put on
it
weight.
was a muscle.
Not a chance. No.
Oh, okay. So it's all 5 guys.
It is 5 guys. Yeah.
You just added 10 pounds of 5 guys.
Yeah. I'm like Squidward when he took a bite of the Krabby Patty. It's not muscle the way Ben Rice clearly is. So kudos to Ben Rice. He looks great. It's early, but let's all cross our fingers that just because it's early doesn't mean it's not real. I'm going to say that.
We said it last year, and I know they had their, whatever the hell that was at the middle of the season, but hey, they ended up going to the World Series. So Alex says that's an expensive 10 pounds, and that's going to do it. So be sure to drop at the end of this. Wait until this ends because it helps the algorithm. Well, it helps us in the algorithm. The algorithm helps itself. But after this ends, put Panic Room if you stuck around and watched till the end. So that's all I got.
and like this video.